This is the front end of a VW Beetle. Here's that front cover plate I was mentioning. This has a nut on the inside here of this spare tire well. Then the next cover is right here. And again, one little Phillips screw removes that cover. Then on the back side of that, this is your twin torsion beam on the front suspension here. There's a cover plate. This is the front of the tunnel. There's a cover plate there that must be removed. And then that shift rod is removed, comes straight on out of the car. Let's take a look under here and see if we can see that cover plate. You see it? You can see the two bolts that hold it in place. Okay, so that's what's involved to prepare for removing that shift rod. Those cover plates must be removed. Our stick shift will be removed. And then that rod can go out through the front of the vehicle. And so we'll show you how we do that. All right. Well, here it is. This is the inspection or access plate. This was on here when we bought the vehicle. I don't know what the ground wire is for, but need to remember to replace that. That hasn't been off in a while. Put this back like this just so we remember where it goes. So, here's that junction right here. Here's that union we were talking about. We'll try a different camera angle to see if we can get a better shot at it. Anyway, there's one bolt here that will disconnect that union right here that goes to the shift linkage. This is the shaft from the transaxle right here. And this comes from the linkage. They're coupled right there. Well, it looks like a pretty good shot. You get the idea. I'll move the shift lever so you can see. So anyway, that's what we were looking for. Trying to get to where we could have access to that one little bolt right there. Well, as with so many things on the VW, this is a 13 millimeter. Be careful, this is under some spring tension. Remember to mark it so you can put it back where it comes from. Same orientation. Grab my spring here. There you can see. Here's the ball. And then what's below that is the little shift gate here. This is what is used to keep you from going into reverse when you move it over for first and second. You have to push down to bypass this gate, and that allows you to go further over this way to access reverse. So let me get some better lighting and we'll get a camera shot. You can see this hanger, and it's exactly like I told you. The bushing is not in the hanger, it's just hanging loose here. All right, there's the shift rod right there. And there's the bushing, or half of it I should say. And let's see if we can get a shot. Try to get in here with the camera with a light and my old carcass. There. But you can see that hanger. It's just metal against metal. So, put my finger in here and you can hear it. It's metal against metal. Okay, so one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to rotate this thing. We're going to rotate it so that the cup is facing downward, so that we get clearance on the top of this. If we didn't rotate it, it would be hitting the top of the tunnel here and so forth. So now it's rotated with the cup facing downward. Okay, I've removed the cover plates. And on this model of Carmagia, I also had to remove the front bumper. And so now you can see we have a straight shot. I'll try to, I've got the hole lit up so you can see it better. But anyway, I'll show you what we're going to do to pull that out through those holes and out of the tunnel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this length of PVC pipe, and I'm going to put this in through the front of the vehicle, run it to where I'm to the shift rod, and then I'm going to connect this to the shift rod and just draw it right out. The way that most of the books tell you to do it is use some long needle nose pliers, and it's a kind of a slow process. But what I do is I take the length of PVC and I cut a notch in it like this, basically about half of it removed. Then put a hole through it and put a wire tie. And I'll show you what we do with this once we get it on the inside. Okay, I'm going to feed this into the vehicle here. And let's try to look and see where I'm going. Really quite easy. There it is. So let's take a look at the view from inside the vehicle. Okay, what I'm going to do next is I'm taking a separate wire tie and I'm going to loop it around my shift rod. So now I've got the shift rod, okay? Then I'm going to get my ABS pipe with this hook and bring it up, and it's going to go on top of that shift rod. Difficult time doing this and filming at the same time, all in a tight space. But there you can see, now I have a wire tie that is around the diameter of the PVC pipe and the shift rod. Okay, so the ball, or the socket that the shift lever ball fits in, is to the front here, and so my wire tie is behind that, and it's holding those two together. So I'm going to clip this right now with a pair of dikes, and I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Next, see how we've got the that other wire tie. I just turned this 90 degrees, and I'm tightening up this other wire tie right here, and that's the one that went through the hole in the PVC pipe. You can see how the how this is fit in my slot in my PVC pipe. And I'm going to pull this tight. Well, I guess I've already got it all the way tight. So then I'm going to cut this one, and then we're going to pull it out the front of the vehicle. I'll meet you up front. Okay, so here we are up front. Here's our PVC pipe protruding. And so now I'm just going to slide this gently. And you can see how quickly and easily it comes out. And I have to turn it here to fit through the hole. And there she be. So you see how I did that? And if you're using both hands, instead of trying to hold the camera, and it actually is quite easy to capture this. And there you have it. I can yank all day on that. So this is exactly the same way as we will put it back in. So we'll clean this off and move on to the next step. You can see here's that retaining clip that went on our piece, and this thing is just cut in two, as they always are. So here we have our shift rod ready to go back in the vehicle, and so we're going to fish it back in through all of the holes in the body and in the pan. And I'm going to stop right there, and we're going to attach our piece of PVC that we used before for removing the rod. We're going to put that on there again to aid in installing the rod. Makes it much easier, much faster, and it doesn't damage the rod like the long nose pliers do. So you'll recall from our shift rod removal episode, we have our piece of PVC pipe with the little notch. That we're going to now attach to our shift rod. I've got the little hole here that we'll put one through. Now let me get the pliers. Pull that through. That sits on top. And we'll go around like this. And we've got another piece that we're going to put Okay. And so these, keep these two together nice and snug. I'm going to snip this one. So it's not in my way. Snip. We'll snip this one too. Okay. Now we're ready to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide this in gently. I'm not going to force anything. And we're going to go all the way in until we get to our bushing. When we've got this to the bushing, just take a piece of wire. We're going to lift up the shift rod and fish it through that bushing. So once we've got it started into our bushing, we'll go back out front again, and we'll continue to slide this shift rod all the way through to where it's in the back where we can hook up our coupler. Once we've reached the shift lever hole here with our shift rod, we can now cut loose our straps. So I would remove that one and the next one, but I'm going to use both hands to do that so that I can have a grip on the wire tie with some long nose pliers, and then with the dikes cut it, and that way it doesn't fall down in the tunnel. Then once that's done, we can rotate this. It's at 90 degrees from where it should be right now approximately. We'll rotate it up and we'll bring the gear shift lever back and mount it where it goes. And I'll show you that in a moment. Once we cut the wire ties, then we can extract our piece of PVC. And that's it, folks. Installed. Very quick and easy compared to the way the books tell you to do it, a little bit at a time with long nose pliers. So anyway, next we can put the covers back on, put our bumper back on, button up the front end of our car. But next, don't need to show you that, but next we'll show you installing the gear shift lever. Install our gear shift lever. Our plate, which goes just like this, the long portion goes to the passenger side. We'll go in like this. Then our spring needs to fit on top of that and be centered. And we have to have our shift rod lever rotated, which I didn't do yet. Yeah. Okay. Put our spring over it. Underneath. Get one of the bolts in here. And the other one. Making sure that nothing's underneath this. Okay. And making sure I'm in the make sure the ball's in the socket there. And indeed it feels feels like it. So just finger tightening these. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to set it to the marks that I made when we removed it, so it goes right back in the exact same position, and then we'll torque down these bolts. Next, we're going to install our new coupler. We'll just disassemble it slightly here. We just got to pull the pin out. So this comes out. We'll take this bolt out for right now. And just got to raise this up before we can get it. Get everything to line up. Okay. Now I'll put this in. Two different size bolts here. Okay, I'll torque that later. The next what we're going to do is we're going to slip this back on to the shift shaft coming out of the transaxle. So wiggle it a little bit. Use my stick shift a little bit to help me here. Looks like it's lining up. Put our bolt in. I'm going to drop it down there in the tunnel. Get it to start threaded. Here we go. It's good. We'll go get a wrench and tighten that. And that part's done. And our coupler is back in place. Just need to torque things down. So what's next? Well, what's next is we got to cover this, put the inspection plate back on. I'm Richard with EV4U Custom Conversions, and I thank you for watching.